What's next for Alexander Volkanovski? Well, after getting knocked out in round 2 by Ilia Topuria, what is next for him? Well, the only fight that makes sense for him is a fight with Ilia Topuria. And I'll tell you why, because he already beat all the high-ranked fighters in the featherweight division. But I think in this rematch, Ilia Topuria will still knock out Alexander Volkanovski. And I'll tell you why, because Alexander Volkanovski has already been knocked out twice in a row. So I don't think a rematch will make any difference. And again, Ilia Topuria just keeps getting better and better. Now, the next fight for Alexander Volkanovski is no fight, retirement. And I'll tell you why, because this is the second time that he's been knocked out. He first got knocked out by Islam Makhachev, and now he just got knocked out by Ilia Topuria, and we don't want to see him be the next Tony Ferguson. So I think it's just best for Alexander Volkanovski to retire.
Now, the same thing that happened with Charles Oliveira and what's going on with Charles Oliveira is the same thing that can happen to Alexander Volkanovski. As when Charles Oliveira lost the title fight to Islam Makhachev, he then went on to fight and beat Daniel Darush, and then he was scheduled to get the rematch with Islam Makhachev, but then he got injured during sparring, so he had to back out the fight, and now he's scheduled to fight Arman, who's ranked number 4 in the lightweight division and who's on the rise and wants that title fight against Islam Makhachev after losing to Islam Makhachev years ago. So the same thing that's going on with Charles Oliveira is the same thing that can happen with Alexander Volkanovski. He lost to Ilia Topuria. He could get another fight and then hopefully get the rematch with Ilia Topuria. Now, it's a little weird and difficult to determine where you rank Alexander Volkanovski. Does he take Ilia Topuria's number 3 spot, which doesn't make sense because then he'll be lower than Max Holloway, who's ranked number 1 and who Alexander Volkanovski already beat 3 times, all being title fights, and he will also be ranked lower than Rahir Rodriguez, who again Alexander Volkanovski already stopped very recently. So Alexander Volkanovski does not deserve to be ranked anywhere besides number 1. But who should he fight next? Because they're not going to give him the rematch right away. He's going to have to redeem himself against somebody else. But at the same time, Alexander Volkanovski fighting somebody else, even somebody who already beat like Max Holloway, would tell us a lot, as it would tell us that Alexander Volkanovski lose to Ilia Topuria because he wasn't at his best and Ilia Topuria was at his best, or did he lose because Volkanovski is just slowly declining and can no longer compete?